think we're talking enough that we should put it in a podcast again. And then you got the camera, and here we are.
We were some fresh-faced boys.
Yes.
And
You didn't have the
more
curls.
hair on my beard and none of it on my head.
It felt like an adventure.
I can hear the music playing in my head.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of the X Button. I'm one of your hosts, Alejandro, and with me is the curly man.
Oh, hey everybody, how's it going?
Pretty good. How's life, Paul? September's almost over.
And it's finally, just as of like yesterday, we started getting a few cool breezes.
Yeah.
I am so happy that we got to actually go out for a walk and not sweat our butts off. And
man, I told you, that's why I always say fall weather is just the best weather, because it's like that
really
perfect
is.
middle spot. It's like not too hot that you're sweating like a pig, not too cold that you have to like bundle up. Like if you have like some cool resistance, I feel like fall is just perfection, because you just feel freshness. So I miss feeling that, because the only coldness that I guess if it's raining, and right now it's freaking raining because we're getting the tail end of Ian kind of passed through us, so it left a little bit of like, you know, just those tropical depressions that are left in the wake of a hurricane. So we just keep getting rain, and right now I don't know if you saw videos right now of Florida. It's looking insane.
It's not good at all.
No.
And that was basically what was going on for Ida, because that was I think once again like 1
Cat
or 2
4.
miles per hour below a 5.
Yeah.
And boy was that bad.
Yeah, that's to me what's insane, that it only takes like just 1-2 miles to become a Cat 5. At what point should you just round it up and just call it Cat 5, because it looks absolutely insane.
It's bad. It's one of those things where it's like it basically is a Cat 5 in danger, but and because it's not listed as one, people aren't going to take it as seriously. But at the same time, it's like, where do you draw the line? So it's people kind of hold pretty hard to those miles per hour categories, but man, it's like even a category 1 hurricane is worth you kind of getting out of its way. Anything beyond that is just bad.
I remember in 2005 when we had a category 1 coming our way from the Pacific Ocean. So like usually when hurricanes come from the Atlantic Ocean, from where I am, we don't care, because it's like, oh, we have the mountains covering us. And usually hurricanes, when they have to hit mountains, that's when they dissolve. So we only get the rains. But that one, when it was the rare hurricane that was coming from the Pacific, from our beaches, it was total pandemonium. Everyone was putting a wood in the wall, in the windows. The supermarkets were getting dried up, kind of like at the beginning of the pandemic. And then when the hurricane hit, it just disappeared for us. But I remember a category 1 for us was like just completely crazy. But hurricanes I don't mess up with. I remember because I had some family living in Florida when hurricanes used to hit more frequently, and I remember hearing their stories. I was like, yeah, if I hear a hurricane, I'm not staying. I don't know, because my aunts once stayed, and they said that they had to spend all their time, because they lived in an apartment, inside their closet, hearing the windows do this like weird bubbly kind of like movement that felt like they were about to pop all the time. So, and about that is about it. Enough of weather talk, Paul, because we need to a little escape from the nonsense that is reality, because this is the X Button Podcast, our gaming podcast that posts every Thursdays from 2 p.m. onwards, God willing, available in the YouTube channel Escape Media, as well as most audio services around the world, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the like. You can find links in the RSS feed at anchor.fm/escape-media. If you enjoy our show, give us a like and subscribe. So, Paul, just putting it out there, we have to do a better job at promoting our show. We haven't promoted it for the last month. I don't know if you noticed.
I've noticed.
Yeah.
I struggle to come up with the links and stuff, so I usually just go, I'll wait till Alejandro sends it over to me and I'll be fine. Yeah. And then I was like, it's been a minute since we sent one of those, hasn't it? Yeah. And sure enough, we just haven't shared it anywhere.
Yeah, and I've noticed it in our listenership. It's like it's been like really low. It's like it really depends on at least just putting it out there, and some people eventually finding it. So that at least proved to me that we need to keep promoting it. So especially now that we're past 70 episodes in the road to 100, less than 30 episodes to go now, Paul, because this is episode 71. Enough preamble. Tell me, what have you been playing? Which hasn't been much.
I have been playing one thing, Alejandro, and that is Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh yeah.
It's a game that I have been sinking my teeth very well into, and it has been a good time just settling back in with that, feeling the highs, feeling the lows, jumping through some of the less interesting storylines to get to the action, but then really sitting with the parts that I loved. And it's just been a good time revisiting it for sure. But I don't think there's anything new that I want to say about it really. Just the fact that it's great now. I mean, of course, it's got like its fair share of issues and glitches here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, every game now does. But it's still just such a magical atmosphere to really capture this dystopia feel, and feeling it be a lot more topical even now than when it came out.
Yeah.
It really, I am feeling that corporate takeover, let me tell you. And since that is the forefront of this game, you really just sit back and think about, I mean, the anime showed it as well heavily, how it's like you have to pay for insurance, and if you don't pay for insurance, they'll just let you die. And that really feels poignant lately.
Yeah.
But I played a side quest where there was police brutality, murdering a guy, and I stood up to defend them, and they tried to kill me.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, okay, this is whatever, I just kill some police, and they were really powerful, and I actually felt this like power discrepancy between me going up to protect this innocent guy to the police that could just one-shot me. And man, it's been heavy, so I had to sit back and really turn my brain off at times, but it's been good.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to shout out that it has just been climbing and climbing in Steam, in the Steam concurrence.
It hit like 130,000.
Yeah, the last time it checked, and that's like huge for a single player game that's 2 years old, and with as much controversy as that one had. And also recently they put out that they have finally sold 20 million copies, which
wow, that's good.
But here's the thing, like when the game launched, it sold 13 million, like right off the bat, if you remember.
Right.
So the sales of that game like really cratered when the game was delisted from PlayStation, and they were like, in the middle of all the they were in the dark cloud of how broken it was in last gen, and that was all the conversation was about it. Not even like you would tell me about that low sodium, what the heck was called, the low sodium Reddit?
Low sodium cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Where the idea being there's several games out there with very toxic environments on Reddit. So they create a second r/area called low sodium of that game. And then it's people that are allowed to voice their positive opinions about things and not get flamed for it.
Yeah. And I remember when you mentioned that way back then when you had just started playing, because I was on PS4 and I knew what I was seeing. To me, like the existence of that was just kind of like copium for me. It was just kind of like create your safe space to ignore just how screwed up this game is, especially like if you're in a system outside of next gen. But now that we're finally moved on from that whole nonsense, I feel like now that low sodium thing can be like the more generally accepted opinion about Cyberpunk, because now the more I see this, like people are like, I saw the lawyer I like following, and the Richard Hoglo, he was because someone like tweeted that, man, this is like the greatest comeback I have ever seen since No Man's Sky, and then he was like, really? Now that the game is fixed, this isn't any better than a Far Cry game, and a Far Cry from Witcher. So you
that's rude as hell. Damn.
Yeah, so I saw that, I was like, I screenshot it and forgot to share it to you, but I was like, yeah, it's now that the positive sentiment is starting, now we're going to start seeing now the contrarian, but now it's like...
Oh, I hate that part of things, though, because it's like, at some point, you just got to let people enjoy stuff, and this is one of those cases where it got all of the deserved criticism. I feel like this is that point where you should get like, hey guys, this is actually some really good points this game made. This is actually really great atmosphere. The gunplay is sometimes kind of good here and there. And it's like, at a certain point, it's like, if you're going to step up and keep saying bad things about it, where does that become just, all right, we've heard that, move on. Oh
yeah, exactly. And all I've heard about this game has just been negativity for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And like you say, is that next port from February onwards, that was the beginning of now the redemptive arc. I'll say this, like, I'll give him this, that I don't think you can compare Cyberpunk to No Man's Sky. Compare like how much No Man's Sky really turned and transformed that game.
I mean,
right now,
this
Cyberpunk
is also from several years after.
Exactly,
No Man's Sky's
exactly.
release.
So I feel it's like premature to do that comparison, but if CDPR continues like adding new content, obviously they're doing the expansion. I wonder if they're going to keep doing free stuff like they did with Witcher. Maybe after a few years, until we see like the tail end of this game with what CDPR does, maybe we can start making that comparison. But definitely, again, an example of these last 2 generations of sometimes just launching bad is not the end of your tale. There can always be a chance for you to like
really gotta have that persistence, and I don't envy anybody in that position that really had to stick through this process. Because my gosh, imagine getting all that hate and saying dead game, and still putting your heart and soul into
look at
that
Destiny.
to make it work.
How often do they get to say that?
We constantly talk about that, so it's like just it really gotta. It's got to weigh on your psyche to deal with that stuff and still put out something powerful. And I don't think Cyberpunk is quite going to reach the No Man's Sky, but it's also a different kind of game where No Man's Sky really needed to keep that player base going because it's technically a multiplayer game. And
now, because it didn't launch like one, remember?
Yeah, that's fair point. But it was supposed to be.
Yeah, remember it was like that non-announcement that they're like, maybe some players can find each other. That they were never clear about it being a multiplayer game like it is now. Now it's like straight up like, yeah, it's totally multiplayer
with like a full working marketplace and system like that. It's almost live service, but I don't want to call it that because that's bad connotation.
Somehow they don't monetize it. As far as I know, it's like how do they make
way
their?
You could spend more money on it.
Yeah.
There's literally no way.
Yeah, I'm like, where do they get their money? Are they getting the money by new copies being sold? Also, because these games are, I know it's on Xbox on Game Pass. I don't know if it's on PS Plus, any of the premium tiers. But that's why I'm like, how do you guys keep the lights on? Yeah, it's about.
I mean, I feel like the Game Pass must have given them a nice influx of cash, but maybe they reached out separately for other investors because I can't think of any other way that they continue to make money on this. Anyway, so yeah, all that is to say, I'm just glad that there's a lot of positivity going around about Cyberpunk. I'm enjoying the crap out of it. I think I've got like 30-something hours, basically because we started at the same time, you with Valhalla, me with Cyberpunk. So we've got about the same amount of hours in each of our respective games. And honestly, you are slowly turning me around on Valhalla, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you now because everything you say makes me be like, oh man, I did kind of enjoy myself. Maybe I should go back to that.
Yeah, I am honestly shocked how much I love it. I'm at 30 hours in, and just to kind of give you a context, you know how at the beginning, the early quest, you go to your war table, and lady tells you there's these 2 areas that you can pick to go do the allegiances and all that. Yeah. I got given that, and I still haven't done it. I've just been like, I've just been soaking in the world. 30 hours, I've just been like going through mystery to mystery, through goal point to goal point, white dot to white dot, killing the Templar looking knights that are sometimes roaming around. Slowly like climbing my power level, and I'm just so soaked in. It's giving me exactly I remember the moment Odyssey clicked for me. I'm at that exact same point here, and I think I like this one even better than Odyssey because I've been like describing it in our chat as like I'm very particular in like what I liked about the Assassin's Creed series when it gets like uber weird, the Assassin Order precursor stuff, and I feel like Valhalla really feels like the perfect middle point of mixing everything together. The assassin thing is finally at the forefront again before the other ones was one establishing and the other game completely ignoring it, just establishing what ends up being the Templar Order, and kind of what I tell you is like I still need you to install that game again and see what your settings are, because I tried the stealth on the default, and that it completely explains to me everything that you were telling me, that the stealth in the default settings is weird and dare I say broken. But then like putting it in Saga difficulty, extending all the kind of like alert states, the putting brief and how often they look at you, 90% of the time able to stealth through that game in a way that hits my soul for someone that loves to play styling like that. And also, I feel like if you're not using your bow and arrow, you're also just not gonna be able to do stealth. I'll give them that. It's
like I definitely use my bow and arrow as much as I can, which I have found a lot of success with that when I was using my not really stealth build, but trying the stealth, because that was the only way that I could ever get close to anything, unless I just stayed right behind them the whole time and they never looked in my direction. But it almost makes me wish that the cloak was more useful as well.
Yeah, but you always have to put it on. Yeah, but always have it on. It's like that's because if someone starts looking, just put yourself to give yourself to the back. Don't show your face, and it at least keeps the thing in the white area, that the things that pops up. That's a good way to try to circumvent that. But they have a weird vision cone that feels a little too accurate from what I'm used to, especially if you go back to the other ones. Yeah. But I'm able to play that game that way. Especially, I just love that they give you the option to just put guaranteed assassinations. I love seeing those Goliath, big, bulky dudes kind of like in those camps. And by having that on, I can one-hit kill him if I don't...
So it doesn't even give you the minigame when you have that on?
Yeah, if you have that on, you don't even need the minigame.
Nice.
So there's that option. So if you want to like play the game on its terms, I just have everything on default. Obviously, you can unlock that if you complete the minigame, that's how you get your one-hit kills. Right. But if you don't care about that, there's that option. Again, I think that's good. I love that games are giving you that granular level of customization. Like I went in and put my parry, my parry window at 900 millisecond, like the widest, so I can always be parrying. Because why not? Because I feel like this is where we go beyond elitism and just you tweak your game for you to have fun with it. And I put it that way for me to have that fun. And then when you mix it with such a majestically built world, probably the best I've seen from Ubisoft in coloring, in vibe, and the soundtrack. Jesus Christ, that soundtrack, like I'm listening to it right now as we're recording it. I just put the ambient sounds. It kicks some like soothing, amazing music that uses flutes and cellos that just like transports you. It feels magical. And that's kind of like what I love about games. Kind of like the theme of our podcast is you want to escape from your reality. And I feel this game is like hitting that spot of like when I'm playing it, I feel like I'm transported. Even if it's still following a certain Ubisoft formula, I always say that whenever that formula is good for me, it's like the joke that you made is like it's like giving a gambler you're taking someone with a gambling addiction into the casino. Yeah, I am very OCD and I'm just losing myself in the world and explore every little corner. I mean, I already got Thor's armor just by exploring, and also kind of like manipulating the game to fight bosses I shouldn't have fought at my power level. But I was like,
I mean, that was something that we all used to do at Skyrim anyway, because you'd like see a dragon, realize that you're absolutely screwed, so you lower the difficulty to the lowest setting and kill it really easily. Yeah,
this game is like has that Skyrim feel to it of being able to manipulate your game like that. And I'm glad because now I have that really cool armor. I transmogged it to look like the Basim outfit, so I still look like an assassin, but it has like the high stats that I just keep upgrading. And I tell you, I hadn't realized how much I prefer the loot system in this game compared to Origins and Odyssey, because it feels like everything that you get feels a little bit more meaningful because you're not showered by here's your loot, here's your blue, your yellow, and your purple. It just feels less overwhelming. Obviously, this game is monstrously long. Like I've only been in the areas where I'm at the power level just to kind of be like, I'm gonna force myself to just be in the areas where the power level number is not red, so that I feel like I am supposed to be there. But I just can't imagine how long it's gonna take me. But if I've spent already 30 hours and I can wait to play more, like I tell you, it's like, even though Valkyrie Elysium comes out today, I was like, they blue balled me. I thought it came out last night yesterday, but no, it comes out today. I still want to keep playing this. Like it's definitely become my new comfort food right now, as Destiny is not my comfort food at the moment.
There's a lot going on with Destiny that I don't really like. I mean, I follow some of those guys that make videos on it all the time. And of course, they're complaining about one thing or another.
Yeah, but the thing is that they're complaining right now is the fact that the Master Raid came out this weekend. They didn't and getting the weapons there, it's not better than you crafting your own. So that's kind of like they've been like
a point. It's just not practical to constantly be needing a group, because I don't really want to sit there asking my group for help, and then you might get people responding to you, and you might not, and you might get one that's going to spend 4 hours on that activity. So it's like, I'll wait.
Yeah, it's like I'm playing that game very, very, like, again, I feel like this year has been very healthy for me with Destiny, because before I would always default to it, almost to the detriment of many of the games that I bought, and this has been the year where I found out that I'm capable of really laser focusing on one game, and it has been like, even though I would scream to the heavens like when I was going through Jack, I stuck to that. I was like, I'm like committing to one game, and really because I had that problem that you still have to a certain extent right now, not right now with Cyberpunk, but that you like bouncing from game to game to game to game to game to game, and I don't know if it's because of where I am in my life, where I can like really not have as much distraction. Obviously you're married, so you can't really just laser focus on one thing because you have many things happening in your life. But I've been realizing that's just healthy. It's like, just dive in and just soak in one game, like. And also, if you're not feeling it, maybe just don't play instead of trying to play something else. That's how you can lead you into certain burnout. Me, that mixture of just focusing on one game or something's watching a TV show and all that, that's, I feel like, has been better for me at finally like biting big chunks of games. And I feel this is the right time for me to have diving deep into Valhalla, especially because they keep updating it. There was a new update this week. Yeah, so I was like, new tombs added, and they're preparing for the festival for October.
So did it start already?
No, they announced it. They announced it within the game. Be like, yeah, on October 20, come to Ravensthorpe for the return of the festival.
So it didn't start quite yet.
Yeah, but I tell you, it's like I'm just shocked how much I like it. It was like, especially after trying to start it a couple times and feeling I should play something else. But I'm glad I did, because now that I'm in it, I hope I take big chunks of it, because now we're into was looking for us like a very busy fall season for games that we actually want to play. I tell you. So
there's so much going on.
Yeah, I mean, Valkyrie Elysium starts this week, and I heard it's less than 20 hours, and I was like, yes, thank God. Because I'm that guy who was like, yeah, just give me the more not too short, but kind of like that perfect not quite long but still long length. Like I recently with Saints Row, that after 15-17 hours I beat it, and I was so happy about it. So especially because I don't know, like, how long will Gotham Knights be? How long will God of War Ragnarok be? So I know
I feel like Gotham Knights is going to be way too long. I'm calling it now.
Yeah. I have a fear because of how long it's been in development. Like it feels like that. It feels like maybe they have padded it just for padding's sake.
That's what I think so, but at least something like God of War is probably going to hold still to that like 20-30 hours for at least.
There were rumors that they were aiming for 40 to 50 because of it being the last one. But I hope that was just spitballing.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if they added a lot more side content, I could see that. But
that game was like so clear to just mainline if you wanted to, even though the ideal way to play the original 2018 one was also to dabble in the side stuff, because there wasn't the game encouraged you to, because it had that slow pace of, yeah, we can do that, but there was also that thing. I hope they do that, but they also had to face the end of the world with Ragnarok. And it's also so funny because there's so much Ragnarok in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, especially when you start going through the visions of Odin and all that, and they're literally the entire Odin chapter of this game is them in the eve of Valhalla, and Odin being scared that the prophecy of him getting eaten by Fenrir is about to come.
Odin so much.
Why?
He's so afraid of everything. Yeah. It's probably because we keep dealing with Odin's shenanigans in every game lately, because a lot of games have been focusing a lot on Norse
and I think Valkyrie Elysium mentioned that the fear of Odin, like following in Ragnarok against a wolf. So
yeah, and how just terrified he is all the time, where he's just like, you gotta make sure you do this, you gotta take him out, he's weak, you gotta kill him. And I'm like, all right, Odin, calm down, I can handle this.
Yeah. I'm thinking like with Valkyrie Elysium right now, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and now then Ragnarok, I'll be like Norse mythologied out after this year. and I love it because I love that mythology.
I can't wait till we get through that. I wonder what the next like big mythology thing that's gonna
take over a game. Yeah.
Be.
Yeah, because Norse mythology kind of like in the same wave kind of took over a lot of gaming at the same time. So
it definitely started in the TV world with the Viking show, and then it just slowly like spread across different media, and now we're into this late stage of gaming. But it's like before that, it was the Greek stuff. And I don't even remember what it was before that, but I'm curious what it'll be.
The Greek stuff was for a while, Clash of the Titans and
oh my gosh,
and a bunch of other stuff.
You can almost say it never really went away, but I feel like it was.
I would say it did. No, but I would say Greek stuff really did went away because when I think of modern stuff that did Greek, just Odyssey. It was just Odyssey, and then like everything surrounding, I was like, yeah, not many Greek stuff happening, and Immortals.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest. I was like, also from Ubisoft. But yeah, I mean,
I still need to get back to that one, especially because I really did like it when I played it.
You went really hard on Immortals, Phoenix Rising, and I barely touched it in comparison.
Yeah, my thing is I forced myself to stop because I wanted to play it on PS5. It was again like the reason why it took me so long to get Valhalla because it was like I got Valhalla on PS4, I got Immortals on PS4, I got Watch Dogs Legion on PS4, I got so many games on PS4 that I wanted to play on PS5. The problem that when I finally got my PS5, like months after, so many games had piled up and new ones were coming that those games just kept getting pushed down the down the backlog. So, and then all the talk about Valhalla being too long and all that pushed it even farther down. But now that I'm like playing, it's like I can play 100 hours of this. Like I'm really liking it. So.
I'm glad that you are, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I really wonder where I land on it when I finish it. At this point right now, it's like, if we ever were due to do a ranking of the Assassin's Creed series like we did impromptu with God of War, this is very high up there at this point in time. But we'll see when I reach like further hours.
We're gonna see, because as I mentioned, I was really on it, and then all of a sudden I woke up and I was like, it's been too much junk food. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if you'll be able to power through it all, because I think I was like 60 plus hours and I was still not even close.
Yeah, I would say that I appreciate about Valhalla is that the way you go through the story, it is not as gatekept as it was Origins and Odyssey. That every main mission had its level. It feels like this game, even though you're doing power levels, I feel it funnels you better into not feeling like you had to grind up to do story stuff. It feels like the grind comes gradual, especially because every mission you complete, you get up a level. They give you so much XP just by focusing on the main missions, that when I realized that, I was like, man, and I was like grinding out the world stuff just to see if I could like level up higher. If I had just been playing the main missions, I could have gone even farther, but I am very OCD like that, or just cleaning everything up before doing main stuff. So really liking Valhalla, but we'll see if I can keep playing it when other games are happening. Like later tonight, that's when Valkyrie Elysium unlocks, and I tell you, it's like when I said I got blue balls after that demo, I got them very blue. I really wanted to keep playing it. So, and this time you played it in the account, so you have your save. You're not gonna have it. Yeah.
I'm curious to see what'll happen. But I really hope that I end up enjoying it as much as I did the demo.
Yeah, same. I did enjoy Stranger of Paradise as much as I did the demo. The thing is that I wanted to play that with you. It's the only reason that I haven't finished it yet, because I did enjoy what I played. So far, the demos I've liked haven't steered me off from like, oh yeah, the game wasn't as fun as the demo. So, enough of that, Paul. We have a few stories this week. Just 2 less than last week, if you would believe it, but these are definitely going to be more in the shorter side. So, press X.
News.
All right, Paul. So, story number 1: E3 2023 dates announced will have separate industry and public days. This is from Game Informer's Marcus Stewart. By the way, just as a preamble, I don't know if we talked about the show that E3 announced that they were coming back, but this time on the ReadPop, the guys that do PAX instead of, because usually E3 was organized by the ESA, so the Entertainment Software Association. They were the ones doing that whole show, but they haven't found a way to really make E3 relevant in the future. So finally, the guys at ReadPop were like, "Hey, we can make that show relevant, like we have PAX." So we're bringing it back next year, even though Summer Game Fest is still a thing with Jeff Keighley. So now there's going to be like competing events at the same time. So here's what the story says. In March, the Entertainment Software Association, ESA, announced that E3 will return next year as an in-person show following the cancellation of the 2022 edition. We now know the dates of the event as well as how it will be structured. E3 2023 takes place at the Los Angeles Convention Center from Tuesday, June 13 through Friday, June 16. Digital presentations such as the annual press conferences held by first and third-party publishers take place a couple of days before, beginning on June 11th. The ESA also states that the show will feature separate admission days for industry professionals and the general public. E3 business days designated for developers, publishers, and press media take place on June 13 to 15. Media registration opens in December. June 15 to 16 will host E3 Gamer Days, where fans will be admitted to the show floor. There is no date for public registration at this time. Since E3 first opened its doors to fans in 2017, professionals and the public have largely intermingled for the entirety of the show, which has caused issues in terms of crowd traffic. E3 adopting the same dividing formats as events such as Tokyo Game Show should alleviate that problem. As previously announced, PAX New York Comic Con organizer Repop will helm E3 2023. The company has promised to make E3 into a world-class event to serve the global gaming industry. The last E3 to take place in person at the LA Convention Center was in 2019. The 2020 show was cancelled due to the pandemic, and the 2021 version was a digital-only show. So, I'm actually very curious that I feel E3 is going to work this year, especially if the conferences are on June 11th, if whoever decides to do showcases, and then they're finally going to divide. These days are just for the media people, and now these days are just for the general public. I tell you, I've heard horror stories of 2017. The media people having to like this, they mentioned intermingle with a lot of over-year people and filling up like space in places where they needed to go because media people have like appointments. So
I was going to ask about the details of that because I don't usually follow along with the behind the scenes for E3 and how that really works as much. So how is this going to really help the media people to have this opportunity beforehand? What is that going to look like for us consumers not going to it? Like, do we hear inside stories? Do we hear interviews? Or does it like they just say non-spoilerish things that they saw and then we see it all ourselves?
So E3 Business Days is going to benefit the people that are going to go network between publishers and developers. It's going to help a lot of media sites that they go play the games to write about the games, preview the games. They have them having this and just being media people. That's like way less people that having the public kind of like intermingling with each other. So it's gonna give them a little bit more time to be able to run from left to right to publisher that joins this thing, and having more feeling less hectic of having to rush into doing that because they know that there's public around. So that's how it's gonna benefit if you follow sites that love showing you previews and giving their opinions about the things that happen. And especially if they press media, it also includes YouTubers sometimes. So like if you have like a registered YouTube account that they can verify that you do this, you also can also be part of this. It will allow any people that do content creation also to have more in-person time with devs and publishers. Because the thing with E3 is that many games that are shown there are not hands-on. Many of these people go into rooms and they have the developer give a presentation about the game and then they play the game for you. So I remember in 2018, that's how the first gameplay demo of Cyberpunk happened. It was like the first 45 minutes that they eventually released that looked so good. Was
actually found out to be not real
exactly,
in the first place. But yeah, that was I remember that very well, and so fondly, unfortunately.
Oh yes, especially that year with what you told me behind the scenes. But yeah, so that's how it's gonna benefit them. But then I like the idea that June 15 and 16 now are like, okay, media people, you had your days to have your appointments, connect, and all that. Now general public that wants to try the games, that because there are some developers that do bring booths for people to join to play the games. The most popular one back then was Nintendo. They would decorate their booths like immensely over one game. I remember when they did it for Zelda. That was the only game that they brought, and people were able to go play Breath of the Wild on Wii U at the time because the Switch wasn't announced. And in 2017, that's how people were able to play Mario Odyssey. They decked their entire booth like New Donk City, and people would be able to go there and play. But the lines were insane. Also to go play the Nintendo games. This will the ESA, especially ReadPub, will have to work hard to convince game publishers and developers. Be like, do you want to put your game here? Because ReadPub definitely works well with indies. When you go to PAX, that's where so many indies or more second party, or well, not quite second party, but not the big bangers. That's how people get more hands on and things. Like that Evil West game that's coming out later this year, it got its spot by people playing it on PAX. So,
well, I'm really glad that actually got a bit of a boost, because, gosh, what a solid game that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Very
late November.
Got that interesting 360 era weird eclectic vibe to it. It's nice.
I'm at the point where I'm so nostalgic, and I'm so nostalgic for games that feel like that. That's why Plague Tale worked so well for me.
True.
So even with its late game problems, I still I miss that kind of game, especially with how big games get these days. But
because we were just talking about the death of the AA game. But yeah, anyway, back on subject. So I don't know how much more I would have to say about this outside is I'm glad for the split. I'm glad that this is going to be the opportunity that a lot of devs have been really hoping that they could get back after 2020 happened, because that is how the AA and the indie side of things really operates. You get those handshakes, those appointments, those random bumping into each other at the lobby of the hotel, and then we get really cool games in a couple of years. And I would hope that E3 2023 is gonna land in the life cycle where there will be many games to be announced, because that was what hurt 2022 Summer Game Fest. It feel like we were still in the throes of the pandemic really disrupted things, so things are really not ready, despite them doing showcases. So maybe that'll help. And now the big question, Paul: will we go? If we have an opportunity, I think you would be able to. I probably will not be able to, as much as I would love to. That used to be on my bucket list for the longest time.
You have close to a year. Maybe you can wing it. Maybe make it a vacation. Who knows?
We'll chat about it and see what we're able to do. If they let us. Who knows? I want to see because they say media registration opens in December. I want to see if we can get in there with the X button and Escape Media. So we'll see. We'll just point out that one video we have that has over 800 views. Be like, it's okay, guys, we're legit.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, we have a video that has over 800 views that just keeps climbing for some reason.
It's just that one. That's all we need.
That's the one that the algorithm loved for us. So. All right. Number 2, Paul. This story made me laugh out loud so hard when I saw it break. Skull and Bones delayed again, this time to March 2023. Also a story by Wesley LeBlanc at Game Informer. Skull and Bones has been delayed again, this time to March of next year. It was originally due out in 2018, but then delayed to 2019. It was delayed to at least March 2020 after that, but things went quiet and the game missed that window. Then in May of last year, Ubisoft announced that Skull and Bones would release sometime between April 1st, 2022 and March 31st, 2023. And now it's slipping out of its November 8th release date, which was only just announced back in July, into a new March 9th, 2023 date. As for why, the team cites a need for more polish and balancing.
I'm not shocked at all at this point. We've been struggling with watching this game go around. Oh my gosh, it was due out before I was engaged. Now I'm going to be married for 2 years.
Can you believe that? That's insane.
This is ridiculous. I mean, this is good Lord. I remember when I found out about this game and they were like, yeah, it's like the cool parts of Black Flag, and there's a whole game about that, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And then it's like multiplayer. I was like, I could get behind that. That's kind of interesting. I mean, they have PC games like this, but I've never seen something to this scale. And I guess there's some heavy issues. There's some kind of lack of creative through line for all this, and everybody who gets their hands on it wants to turn it into a different game or something. But this is one of those games that's now there's no way it's gonna survive.
Yeah, right now it's the name Skull and Bones, it feels apt. It's like it just feels like a dead man walking, and it's insane they just haven't canceled it. They started development of this game. I looked it up. 2013 was when they started developing it.
2013.
Yes, because that's when Black Flag was going gold. It was about to release, and they saw the buzz of how much excitement there was over that, because Ubisoft knew that they wouldn't stay with the pirate theme for Assassin's Creed, because they like doing one and done settings, because that's the whole point of that series. But they knew that maybe we got something here. Maybe we can make a full game of this. But the thing is that they missed their window so hard and too late. And them announcing the things like, oh yeah, there's not going to be like in-person combat. It's just the ship combat, and there's no campaign. It's a live service. They have checked all the things that could potentially like push me away as hard as humanly possible. And when I watched them try to make the pitch that was a non-pitch at the Ubisoft Forward that I saw by myself, that's when I was like, yikes, I don't know about this. And especially it coming out the day before God of War Ragnarok. Now, get it out of there. Only Sonic Frontiers is brave enough to fight Kratos and Atreus there. But it makes me sad to see Ubisoft in such shambles. They only have one game now, Mario & Rabbids, which looks good, shockingly for them. But it also has kind of like that Nintendo connection, so you would expect Nintendo to at least want that game to be good. So, oh man,
it's
sad.
It's even if it comes out whenever it does, it's not even gonna be. After what they did to Star Wars Squadrons, frankly, and
Squadrons wasn't Ubisoft.
I mean, damn it. After I saw a large company misuse the idea of a really awesome concept turned into a multiplayer competitive shooter-ish game, now I just don't trust any of them. I should have clarified that at the start. But yeah, it's like, come on, guys. It feels like just an easy shot in the dark. It's fish in a barrel, and you somehow mess it up. Why does this need further polish and balancing on such a simple idea, guys?
Yeah. And it was in the because I don't know if you saw that, because you said you lost a bunch of text from your chat.
I did miss a bunch of them, yeah.
Yeah, there was one that the Kotaku story that broke this story before Ubisoft literally confirmed it an hour later. Just like, yeah, it's true, we're delaying. That apparently the reason why Ubisoft hasn't canceled is because this is being made by Ubisoft Singapore, and they had made a deal with the government that they were actually going to release this game for like tax incentives. Just imagine.
Explains a lot, considering all the other games that they just said, all right, this isn't working, we're just going to cancel it. Why, for whatever reason, this one survived.
Yeah, it makes sense if it's for that, if it's for those tax reasons. Because I don't think there's any excitement, especially after the big deep dive they did in July. No one has excitement for this game. So, and the fact this is the first one, they were finally pricing at $70, because Ubisoft has been like in the $60 range still before being like, yeah, now we're implementing the next gen tax going forward. This is $70. Good luck. Number 3, Paul. This is an interesting story. Dynasty Warriors Studio reveals Wild Hearts, a Monster Hunter-like game coming early next year, also by Wesley Blanket Game Informer. This is by EA. Electronic Arts and Koei Tecmo have revealed Wild Hearts, a new Monster Hunter-like game coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC next year. More specifically, this EA Originals title will be released on February 17, 2023. This news comes by the way of the game's reveal trailer released today. In it, we see a lot of monster hunting action. The game seems to take place in a mythological land filled with large and dangerous beasts. You'll need to craft better gear to take on tougher monsters, eventually taming the otherwise wild area. If you look at the trailer, you see that it definitely looks like Monster Hunter.
Oh shoot, yeah. I'm kind of flipping through it right now, and that is.
And I'm not gonna lie, it does look interesting. Like
it does. It looks solid. It's got a lot of interesting stuff to it. It's got some weird little contraptions that you can kind of throw in to make things interesting. It's kind of interesting now that I think about it, how little people have really tried to come after the monster hunting style of game.
Oh yeah.
I keep looking back at a game that had such a cool concept that didn't work out. Evolve. You remember that one?
Yeah.
I watched one of my roommates go crazy hard on that game back when it first came out, and then it made me think like, all right, well, yeah, we've got this whole asymmetrical multiplayer aspect to it, but just imagine if we had more games with their own mythologies and weird creative aspects around it, to have this like, all right, work together with buddies to hunt this giant creature. Why is that not a thing as much?
Exactly.
And it's
probably... like an easy co-op. It's such an easy co-op concept to try to like embrace if you're looking into trying to do those kind of co-op experiences,
and especially considering it doesn't exist on these other consoles. Like those at Monster Hunter has been only Nintendo, and
World was multiplayer.
Well, yeah, it was.
I mean multi-platform. Sorry.
Right. Then they put it on Monster Hunter World was all the consoles, and then Rise.
Rise is just on Switch and PC.
It's just on Switch and PC. So it's like there's so much more capability for that.
What I don't understand is that Monster Hunter World is Capcom's single best-selling game ever, and that was a multi-platform game. Why haven't they released another Monster Hunter on the modern systems? I feel now this Wild Hearts is gonna hit right for people that are like, yeah, we like World, but we have extracted all the juice out of World that we can.
There's only so much you can play besides just re-hunting the same monsters for the 50th time. So it's like, yeah, this is an easy one to go.
And the fact this is coming from a partnership with EA and Koei Tecmo, like, how did that happen? How is EA getting it? It's like them announcing that single player is not like a key thing for the, like a key market for their strategy going forward. It's like, obviously EA gets clowned on so often, especially with the handling of Battlefield 2042 last year, but I kept saying it's like, yeah, that was the only black spot of a year that gave them It Takes Two, Knockout City. They're doubling down on Respawn with Jedi Survivor coming soon, the Dead Space remake. Is it? They're the ones that are getting it, and that's insane to me. That right now they're in this like great spot where we can expect weird stuff like this. Like, just man, I would have never expected that from like EA, the company that's just so laser focused on giving you a reskin Madden and FIFA every year, and FIFA finally dying this year because they lost the license, so is renaming to EA Football Club, and Madden broken as ever. So it's so funny, like in the things that you know.
Did that one review well, by the way?
Madden? No.
Yeah. Oh.
In fact, even Madden, like actual football players, are like going out in public trashing that game.
Oh Lord.
So that's what's funny. It's like in some places they're doing really, really bad, but now they're like other spots they're attempting to do really good stuff. Like It Takes Two is insane. It came out from them that they allowed that game to happen, and that it was as well received as it was. So.
Oh goodness,
Yeah.
I'm hoping for the best, honestly.
Oh yeah, especially because we barely have like when it comes to like the big three, it's been rough. Like for the big three third parties, it's definitely been rough times. So number 4, Paul. This one's a quick one. Silent Hill: The Short Message rated in South Korea. This also a story by Wesley LeBlanc and Game Informer. Silent Hill: The Short Message has been rated by the South Korea's game rating committee, and it's possible this is a new unannounced Silent Hill game. This news comes by the way of Video Games Chronicle, which reported that the rating committee rated Silent Hill: The Short Message today. However, the rating did not include any platform, so it's unclear where this game might land if it actually ends up being a real title. In fact, the rating features little else other than listing Uniana as its publisher. As BGC knows, this company regularly publishes Konami games in South Korea. The publication also notes that Silent Hill: The Short Message might be related to one of various Silent Hill projects reportedly in the works at multiple different studios. BGC reported in February that Konami is planning a revival of the Silent Hill series amidst other reports stating that a Silent Hill 2 remake is in development. While waiting to hopefully learn more about Silent Hill: The Short Message, read about Silent Hill creator Keiichiro Toyama's new game Slitterhead. Remember Slitterhead? That was from the Game Awards 2021.
We were like, oh shoot, it's actually going to be Silent Hill.
Yeah, but it's just from the creator.
Yeah.
So South Korea outed God of War Ragnarok being this year. So when things are rated in South Korea, you know that there's legitimacy.
Yeah, because it's like if it wasn't going to exist, why would they go through the process of actually going to submit it to their rating board? So I guess we know that something like this exists. We don't know anything else about it, but
yeah,
good for them.
But I feel this is how can I say this? This is now another signal by whatchamacallit that Konami is actually back in the game in a way no one would have expected, because they recently TGS announced a remix for Suikoden 1 and 2. Those were legendary, and I mean legendary RPGs from the PS1 era. That people always say they lament that Final Fantasy took so much oxygen when these RPGs that apparently had even better story were there, and they came from Konami, and then those games just stay there, and the only way to play them modernly was through PS1 digital classics on PS3. So that game has been lost, and now they're like bringing it back. One of their more obscure series in a company that owns Metal Gear, they own Silent Hill, they own Contra, Castlevania. They're bringing back Suikoden, so it feels like, and they gave us the Castlevania collection.
I wish I cared more about Silent Hill, of course, first of all. Because that game just gave me nothing but trauma. And then I feel like at a point where I'm more okay with trying new things, especially the scary types, nothing that is not anything that is not going to be PT is not going to measure up to the. It's like the bar is set too high. Nothing that they ever do is going to reach that. So it's one of those like, all right, this is great, good job, Konami. Sucks that you like disappeared for a whole decade and ruined all the goodwill that you had.
Exactly, yeah.
I'll come back if this proves to be good, but
the thing is that originally this was reported with like the Metal Gear remasters, Castlevania being brought back.
We haven't seen any of that.
So the thing is that this was reported. Now, if this is actually coming out, now that there's like credence to those, to those reports.
Okay,
so
that's a good point.
Even though I personally don't care about Silent Hill, because the only Silent Hill I care was the one that Kojima was making, because it was such an impact. But this one is like, okay, if this one is finally one of the many that was reported that was coming out and is being rated, and the alleged pictures we saw of Silent Hill 2 remake that got DMCA'd by Konami, by the people that were posting it. So when you DMCA something, that's basically you confirming it exists. I'm just glad that those reports from BGC from way earlier are coming to fruition, because the franchises that I really do care for have also been dormant, and they're finally gonna start wheeling them out again. So that's the thing I care most.
Yeah, that's probably the part that would give me the most interest, and I really hope that adds the credence that we're looking for, honestly, because sometimes every time it seems we want to get excited about things, we get disappointed. So then
recently we happy that happened to us with the Nintendo Direct. So
yeah, especially after that, now it's like fresh in my mind.
But the thing is that was the first one that didn't come true from many of those reports. So that's what made it more crushing. Right. That was the one that, after we had heard many reports, that ended up being true from that same source.
That's the only one I really cared about, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, adding perspective for the sake of professionalism, this is a big deal, and hopefully this means that everything else is in the pipeline and is going to get fired out when it's ready, when it's time, and hopefully with a lot of competence behind it.
With the Castlevania Advanced Collection being really good, that was
really
Teenage Mutant
good.
Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection, on the heels of Shredder's Revenge by a different company, also being really good, also from Konami, is like, where is suddenly like this company that was so MIA DOA, now it's like finally like feeling, oh no, we actually do care. So
they clearly had to just really change things around.
I think they saw that gaming had become bigger than ever because they had bowed out when there was still like, yeah, things are big, but we think we can make more money and mobile and other stuff. But now console gaming's the biggest it's ever been.
The bubble popped for that, especially. So I'm just hoping that it continues.
Oh yeah. So again, make this Silent Hill the first domino that then trickles down to the things that we care about, and then now finally those beloved Konami IP will see the light of day in modern times again. Final story, Paul. So Disney reportedly wants 2 Star Wars games per year. This is a story by Steve Watson, GameSpot. Disney is betting big on Star Wars video games. The publisher is reportedly planning to put out 2 new Star Wars games every year, consisting of 1 big AAA game and 1 smaller game every fiscal year. That includes several games that have already been announced as part of its upcoming slate. Insider Gaming reports that Lucasfilm is on board for the plan as well, as reflected in several of its upcoming projects. Those include Jedi Survivor from Respawn, Star Wars Eclipse from Quantic Dream, the competitive shooter Star Wars Hunters, the Untitled game from Skydance Media, Respawn and Ubisoft, that's another 3, and the game from Skydance was long rumored as Amy Hennig's next project before she announced the Marvel project. Insider also reports that several more games are also in pre-development. It's not clear which of these smaller projects, which of these are smaller projects, or if anything in the currently announced slate fits that designation. This also suggests some of the games are still years away, like Star Wars Eclipse. So, when I read that, my spine shivered because I was like, "Oh no!" You know what that means? If that's what they want. For every fiscal year.
Alright. I know we just went from a lot of negativity into potentially a lot more negativity.
Uh-huh.
I want to play a little devil's advocate for the slight sliver of a chance that this means that even if I know this is completely motivated by greed, completely motivated by money, but this is what we were praying for before EA took over. This is what we really wanted out of this. We wanted the Wild West PS2 era where Lucasfilm was licensing crap out to anybody who wanted to make a Star Wars game. Yes, that meant we got some really crap Star Wars games, but it also meant we have some classics that hold up to this day. So I want to look for the silver lining right now because, yeah, this is going to be really... it's going to be some rough stuff going on, especially for the people working on these, especially if they have to have these turn around so quick.
That's my problem. That's precisely my problem. If you're like saying that you want those games every fiscal year, you can't box in a game developer into a fiscal year that they have to get out that game before a fiscal year ends, because that's when you get garbage. That we were talking about EA before that. It's like many of the games that ended up being like complete dumpster fires from them recently, like Andromeda and Anthem. They got put out because those games needed more time in the oven, but they're like, we gotta put it in before the fiscal year because that's where we put it in the books. That's the problem of boxing in development that has become more complex with these consoles, especially for people that want more higher end stuff. It's like you can't, if what you want is quality, it's like you cannot box it in with the with demanding those games have to be out by fiscal XYZ year. And I look at Jedi Survivor, the fact that thing's coming out allegedly in March, that also kind of fits. It feels like, yeah, they have been given a few years because it's been 2019 since we got the original one. Obviously, we got the next gen ports as a year-ish after, but they were obviously working on the sequel. It's like it being like, oh yeah, this game is gonna come out before the fiscal year also has that kind of stink to it. It'll be like, no, we haven't really heard of much about it other than the title. We haven't even seen gameplay, and you want to put it out now? It's like there's always that danger that it may not be as fully cooked as you want because they're like, yeah, this is for this fiscal year, and that's the big worry. As for the smaller game, I can be okay with a mobile game if you can throw that out there. Be like, yeah, here's our small game.
Yeah, because I mean, they almost have to do that now just for the sake of the money that they would make on that compared to everything else. It's like you got to put your irons in all the fires. But I want to say, Alejandro, I'm professionally petitioning for us to add at least 2 extra positive stories because this negativity is freaking killing me. I want to hope that, because I mean, each of these games is coming from a different area, a different genre, a different developing group. I want to believe that at least in this immediate stuff that's already announced, the burnout is theoretical from only the project that's in front of them right now. Now, to say that, is this going to be is it always going to be Respawn, Quantic Dream, Skydance, Ubisoft, and then it just rotates like Call of Duty does? Or are we going to just say, all right, these are the ones from right now, and then the next string are from each of the other groups that we keep partnering with? Now, if you spread that out over the course of 5 to 10 different developing groups, okay, maybe not 5, so closer to the 10, then you could probably theoretically get something twice a year of different varying calibers, passion levels, whatever. And
to me it's like that's the advantage of having so many like cooks in the kitchen now. So because before, when it was just EA, it's like they were boxed into just one publisher trying to use the few developers that they had, and now that they have this many that can potentially be working on, theoretically, if everything goes right, they could, each individual publisher could be the ones that hit that Star Wars game every year that they want. The thing is that I don't want Disney to be like, I don't care. We don't care how that game is shaped, in what shape that game is. It's gotta be out now. That's what I fear. That's like my big fear.
And I don't want it to sound like I'm dismissing it either. I want to hope that, especially after the desert that we got for this last whole decade, that this is where things really start to change. And I'm hoping that even, like, say the first year doesn't go well, maybe, I mean, that's where people start to talk with their wallets.
Yeah, I'll say that I feel that the Marvel model of games that we've gotten since Spider-Man came out in 2018, that seems like the more ideal one, because technically there's been a Marvel game every year since 2018. So
yeah, and
Marvel Spider-Man 2018
example, because there was a lot of differences to each of those. Go ahead.
So it was like Marvel Spider-Man in 2018, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3: The Black Order on Switch on 2019. In 2020, Crystal Dynamics is Marvel's Avengers, and Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales in that same year. In 2021, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. And now 2022, we're getting Marvel's Midnight Suns. All of those games, with the exception of the 2 Spider-Man games from the separate developers. So I would hope that they would at least, yes, they're announcing this as their intent, but they're waiting for the developers to cook and have an idea of where those games can be landing, and then let each individual developer land their game every year. Just don't force them.
I really hope that's the case, but that's going to be really down to whoever's managing this process that can actually keep them on task the entire time, so that it doesn't come down to, hey, we're 3 months out from release, we have to delay, and then Disney says, suck it up, get it out there. I would much rather whoever is in charge to be working alongside them to make sure that happens, and if one of them can't make it, the other one can pick up the slack or some way.
Exactly. Yeah. I would say amen to that. That's like the only way that desire would work for me, because otherwise you're just gonna then drive that Star Wars goodwill downhill again. A brand that so easily can be pulled out, like, lose its goodwill.
And there's granted, some of that is from the fan base, and some of that is from
the actual content.
Absolute sucky management of the IP, for sure. But
exactly. That's why it's like the Star Wars IP, especially post Last Jedi. It always feels like it's in quicksand. Rise of Skywalker sunk that series so long that it took Mandalorian to bring back a shred of positivity back into the Star Wars fan base, and then Book of Boba Fett took that down. Obi-Wan has been like, it took the last 2 episodes for me to like really, really love that series, but that was also many people complaining about, why does this look cheaper than it should have been for like such an important character? And then we see Andor.
Yeah.
Have
you been watching any of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really good.
It's good.
Yes, it's like
really good.
It's shocking how good it is, how good it looks, like that they actually put so much money for such a third-tier character for me. But
that's the weird part. But yeah, anyway, it's as far as Star Wars goes, it's like very middling success in certain areas, but it does ride some high highs still. It hasn't completely dropped off like something like the.
And I will say this with at least with Star Wars, like, even though there's so many projects announced, I just appreciate that at least content-wise, we're not getting as flooded with it as we are with the MCU, where this year was the jump to shark moment that I had with the MCU that I just don't care.
Yeah.
I've let so many of those series just come on by because they just don't look interesting to me. They're just flooding the zone, and I feel like that's the Disney strategy of just like flooding the zone with so much until people just get sick of it, and I don't want that. I want to be at least, I feel a little bit more excitement about the things that we get instead of just being like consume. So, because that's how it feels like, and I feel like at least Star Wars deservedly so has been like at least a little bit more reined in that approach. Yeah,
in some areas. I mean,
but they can
Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are just holding that entire series on their backs.
Oh yes, when they should have held it from the very beginning instead of giving it to J.J. Abrams. So there were only five. Yeah, there were only 5 stories, Paul. But in your request, I had to find a 6th one because this one's funny.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, GTA 6 hacker suspect pleads not guilty to computer misuse charges. This is a story by Video Games Chronicle as a follow-up to the Grand Theft Auto 6 leaks from last week. So the teenager
because the link's not working for me.
Is it not? Okay, no. You should do it again because that's where I opened it.
I clicked on it. It just says redirecting, and
your internet's like messing up. Then there we go.
We're clear.
So yeah, this story by Tom Ivan by Video Games Chronicle. The 17-year-old reportedly arrested on suspicion of hacking Rockstar Games and Uber has pleaded not guilty to charges of computer misuse. Appearing at a Specialist London youth court, the teenage boy denied using his mobile phone for hacking purposes, Bloomberg Law reports. City of London police arrested a teenager out of Oxfordshire last week and charged him with 2 counts of breach of bail conditions and 2 counts of computer misuse. Prosecutor Valerie Benjamin said in court that the suspect had used the phone to hack into companies and was holding them to ransom to gain access to illegally obtained software. The judge referred to the case to a higher court where it will be heard with a similar matter at a later date. The teen, who is said to associate with a hacking group called Lapsus $, was also reportedly arrested earlier this year for hacking Microsoft and Nvidia. In one of the games industry's most high-profile data leaks, more than an hour of Grand Theft Auto 6 development footage was published online this month via an anonymous user posting on the GTA Forums website. They claim to have obtained the leaked assets via an internal Slack channel and say they were also behind a recent Uber data breach. Police have not confirmed that the arrest is related to these attacks. However, citing sources said to be familiar with the case, journalist Matthew Keys has claimed the teen was in charge in connection to both the GTA and Uber hacks. So, when you get the freaking FBI involved,
yeah, seriously,
they're gonna find you.
I'm kind of impressed with the guts that this kid has to plead not guilty.
Not guilty. After being arrested with the Microsoft and Nvidia leaks earlier.
So it's either they really didn't do it or they are gutsy.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll see how this plays out for that whole process, because I'm kind of curious, like, what Rockstar's is going to do at this point, because the source code was already sold, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it turned out it was lie. Thankfully. Yeah, from what because that's what the reports that someone had paid like 5 Bitcoin for the source code.
100,000. So is that the lie was that it was sold, or the lie was that they have the source code?
That it was sold. They claimed the source code wasn't sold, but you never can. With how intense the leak was, that could have been saving face. So you have to they have to tread with caution there.
Because if they had openly admitted, yep, source code is out there, we don't know about it, we're just going to keep plugging away with GTA, and that would not go well. So can you imagine if you will, that it had gotten sold and somebody else has the source code, but Rockstar is not willing to eat the process of just restarting their game, and one day in the future they just get all of GTA 6 shut down because that comes full circle on them.
That would be hilarious, but I feel like Rockstar is a little bit more wily of a company, that they are not that stupid.
They can be, but they can also be really freaking.
No, that's the thing. Like, it's not that they're stupid; they're shrewd. They know how to extract a lot of money. But in stupid, I would disagree with that, especially for the amount of success they have. But again, they were the ones being like, "Oh yeah, it sucks that we got hacked, but this is not going to affect our development." That was them saying it, but we'll see with how far off that game ends up being. And that footage that was leaked apparently was from like 2019. So imagine how much further along that game was. So
well, let's hope for it.
Well, and that, Paul, concludes this week's news. So I hope that kid gets what he deserves if it turns out he was the hacker. So game releases, Paul, for October 2nd to October 8th. It's already October. It's insane. So October this Saturday. Dakar Desert Rally comes to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on October 4th. Overwatch 2 comes to PlayStation 5,
Overwatch 2 comes out next week?
Yeah, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on October 4th. That's just a multiplayer, by the way. Deathbirds Let It Die, that came out on consoles last week, is now coming on PC on October 5th. Nier Automata Switch comes on October 6th, and No Man's Sky Switch comes on October 7th. Very, very light week, but Overwatch 2 is free to play. That's what I'm going to be trying next week.
Absolutely the calm before the storm, as we've both talked about. So, shoot. I mean, I probably won't touch Overwatch 2. It took me a very long time to touch Overwatch 1.
But because you had to buy it. This is free to play.
Right. I mean, I technically played the beta for it. And even then I was like, all right, I feel like I've played the whole game. And the fact that I still feel like I've played the whole game, despite it now being a sequel, makes me... And
that's the thing, like, this sequel is probably the most misguided sequel that I feel I've ever seen, because when you look at that game, it doesn't look like a sequel. It feels like it's making changes just because they wanted to put out a 2. Because, again, that the Activision thing is like, I see with Overwatch 2 what happened to Destiny. If it hadn't happened, we would have remained with Destiny 1 forever and just kept updating it. And with Overwatch 2, I'm just curious because I want to see if it's as bad as people say the changes will be, especially because Overwatch 2 is overtaking the Overwatch 1 client. Overwatch 1 is disappearing.
Yeah, because
so this is like replacing it.
Shut down on October 2nd, and this is literally going to be the...
Yeah, it's not even shutting down as much as they're overimposing Overwatch 2 over it. So... If you have Overwatch in your download list and you go there, it already says Overwatch 2, which is crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I definitely want to try. Like, I was curious with Overwatch 1 because of how big it was in 2016, but I arrived to it a year late after the first sale. That I was like, this feels worth it because I'm not that much of a multiplayer guy, and it seemed cool. But again, it's like the kind of game that you probably want to play with friends to strategize on that because it's very team based.
And it's one of those games that can definitely get toxic because a lot of people are like, bro, you gotta play a different character. This is my character. And oh, we need a healer. Go play a healer. I'm not gonna play that. It's like, I don't have time for all that anymore.
The good thing, because it's free to play, at least I got to try it. That's the difference.
Which that's the difference for sure. And I think
instead of having to plop $60 for it.
So wait, what is even the difference between the playing it for free and what the version you have to buy? Is it just like Steam?
The version you would have to buy would be the PvE mode, so the campaign that they're working on. So, but that's not launching with this. This is just a multiplayer.
Which that was the thing that we all wanted at the start of, even before the game freaking came out, I think. So, wow. I hope it's good, I guess. We'll
see. We'll hear about it next week. But yeah, it's like this is a calm before the storm, and Valkyrie Elysium launches in 7 hours from today, so from where we're recording. So can't wait till I continue my save because it definitely left me itching for that game, and I'll keep it with Valhalla, Paul. So where can people find you?
As always, y'all can find me at Dork of Art on Twitter. I just actually today posted a new sketch for some characters that I've been working on, new project that I want to do pretty soon, and I'm trying to practice more on my colors. Besides that, I post more art, and I also post video game clips of me breaking games really poorly. Actually funny, I got to meet up with my buddy for his Sea of Choices game, which he's hoping that he can have out by the end of the year. He's finally gotten to the point.
Yeah, the game that it was supposed to be out in April.
And then he lost all of his maps, so he actually had to rebuild like 80% of it probably. He's kind of back to where he needs to be. He's now gonna try connecting all of the individual pieces together to finalize a story. I've got a much better idea of it. And I was able to break his game on a demo.
That's awesome.
That's a victory for me.
I tell you, you should be a playtester. You absolutely should be a playtester.
I don't even try to do anything. I just walk up to stuff, and sometimes I end up walking through a wall or a door that shouldn't be walked through in a certain way.
Yeah, I will say the more I play Valhalla, I'm finally noticing a few little bit more like tiny glitches, but nothing even close to like that deformed body that really I posted a picture of Cyberpunk 2 days ago.
It's good times though. It's all fun. As long as it doesn't break the game, I almost relish.
Exactly. That's my thing is like it's when glitches completely destroy your progress, that's when I get angry. But when it's just funny stuff like that, it's just, yeah, it's games.
It kind of like reminds me of, yes, this is a good experience right now, and I just really appreciate those now, the older I've gotten. But yeah,
Alright,
where can they find you, Alejandro?
They can find me at Twitter at @A_DoorSegovia. They can find me at Instagram at AlejandroSegovia93, and my written content at thecriticalcorner.com. Someday I'll post another article.
You're working on it though. We've talked about that. It's just been a lot, and you really like to bite off a lot of challenge in your writing, and that's what you're currently facing.
Yeah,
but
when you have to rank 15 games and you don't know the order yet, it can break you, especially because
they're all like kind of hard to compare, frankly.
That's why, yeah. Like, I think I would have had an easier time just doing the Assassin's Creed ranking if I would be honest. We should do that instead.
Which you could, pretty easily, I think.
Oh yeah, because the series is easier to compare. So maybe that could be another one of those evergreen episodes we do. That could probably help me. If we talk it out and I have it there, then I just like transcribe it.
I could definitely see that. I mean, we did that for our whole God of War impromptu moment. So I could see that.
We could literally do a short episode ranking. That shouldn't take more than an hour.
Probably not. Yeah. I think the biggest challenge would be the distance between some of the games out there and how chunky they are to digest.
Yeah.
Would definitely stop me from being able to revisit all of the games.
Yeah. But do you think you would be able to rank them just on memory?
I think I could rank most of them, but I think nostalgia is going to color my view on a few, and you're going to be like, what? That's ridiculous. There's no way you could rank that one that high. And I'll be like, I don't know. I think
that'll be fun. Like, you could be the nostalgia and I could be like the modern lands.
Probably so, but I gotta say though, after you convinced me to revisit Origins and Odyssey, I'm not sure where I would do it, and I'm kind of terrified to actually.
Yeah, because those were two games that you just didn't really buy with us until I finally.
The old ones are absolutely going to be more on the chopping block, and I'm terrified of swinging that axe down on some of those old school ones.
Yeah,
and some that I'd never actually really finished or played enough of to rank, so I would be. Like Syndicate and Rogue, I would not be comfortable with actually trying to rank them.
Rogue, I can easily say it's bottom. So
or
Liberation.
Yeah, Liberation. I technically now own that with the
with the remastered. Yeah, but
I just it was like a PSP game, and I just like
Vita. It was a Vita game.
Oh yeah.
There was a PSP. Oh crap! Bloodlines. I forgot about AC Bloodlines from PSP. It's
Oh my gosh, yeah. I remember
it came out at the same year as Assassin's Creed 2.
D1 in China and Russia or whatever.
It could be like just ranking mainline ones.
Yeah, so we're just not even going to worry about all that nonsense.
Let's see when we can like knock it out just to have it there to insert. Just because we need to. I fear with hurricane season. I fear for you. So.
You never know, honestly. I wake up each day wondering if there's going to be a new hurricane coming into the Gulf, and I've got all the way until November.
Yeah, so exactly. That's why I'm mentioning it. So so we'll see, because I feel like if we're just laser focusing, kind of like we used to do topics, they shouldn't be that long. So
yeah, all
right, Paul. So now you all got insight about any potential future plans. They're not whatchamacallit, like they're not promises. Yeah. But it may happen. I kind of want it to happen. So, all right, Paul. It's been a pleasure. I'll hopefully see you online. Let's play some games. Hopefully, Valkyrie Elysium is as fun as it was in the demo when we played it later today. I don't know if you're going to play it later today. I will. So, and everyone else, definitely stay safe now that the fall's happening. Stay healthy. And remember,
press X
to play.
Good night, everybody.
Hasta luego.